Hello students, myself Richa Shrivastava and today I will be discussing chapter 1 tissues. Before I will discuss chapter 1, I want to discuss about your books and copies. As you know that the last year you have used this book, that is Candid New Trends in Biology. The same edition book you will be using this year also of class 7th. So this will be your bio book, and when we will talk about your notebook, you might have got two notebooks, like one of 200 pages and one of 120 pages. So of 120 pages you are supposed to use for biology. What you will be doing, you are supposed to cover your notebook and you are supposed to write down your name, class, section and admission number on your first page. Then whatever the question answers we will be giving you, you are supposed to write down in your copy on daily basis, because your copy will be assessed timely. So this was about your copy and books part. Now let us come to our chapter, that is chapter number 1, tissues. So when we will talk about tissues, first we will be knowing what are cells. So in class 6 you have already studied what are cells. So let us recall that what are cells. So student, what are cells? Cell are the basic minute structure of the body, or it is the smallest substance that is present in our body. So like this is a cell. This is the smallest structure that is present in the body, or it is also known as the basic structural and functional unit of life. Now why it is known as basic structural and functional unit of life? Because it provides the basic structure to the body as well as it provides a particular function to the body. So cell is the smallest structure of the body and it is the basic structural and functional unit of life. This was about the cell. So to understand the cell, I will want to give you a very common example which I have already given you last time also. So let us take an example of our own house. So for the construction of our own house, what is the first thing that which we use is a brick. Like a small brick is used in the construction of the house. The very first thing that is used in the construction of our house is the brick. So similarly, the very first thing that is formed in the development of an organism is the cell. So this brick acts as the cell of our body. Now when the bricks are joined together, they forms the wall. So similarly, when cells are joined together, they form the tissues. Then the walls form the room, 4 walls are connected, then room is created, then so many rooms form the house. Similarly, when I talk about our body, cell is there, then a group of cells form the tissues, then a group of tissues form then organs, then organ system, and then later on an organism. So this is the flow chart, like first cell, then the group of cell forms tissues, then group of tissues forms organs, then group of organs formed organ system, and finally it leads to an organism. Now here organism, why I am using here organism, it can be any living organism like plant also or animal also. I am considering this organism as plant as well as an animals. So this is the complete flow chart, like cell, the smallest unit, then they are clubbed together to form tissues, then tissues form together to form organs, then organ system and organism. So I am repeating it once again. Cells, then group of cells form tissues, then organs, then organ system and then organism. So this was about the flow chart of then organism. I have already told that organism, again I am repeating it again and again, that it is for plants and animal both. So this was about the organ system or the organization of our body. Now when we will talk about the tissue, so what are tissues? So I have already told you that the group of cells are known as tissues. So like see, this is a one cell, then so many cells are clubbed together. So now what is this? This is one cell, so many cells are joined together. So now what is this? They are joined together and now they are considered as tissue. Now what are tissues? Tissues are the group of cells having the same origin and same function. Now why I am saying having the same origin and same function, because like this, if you will take an example of our hand only, or if you will see the example of the eyes. So eye is composed of cells, all the living part of our body composed of cells, then so many cells club together to form the tissues. Now what happened? What are the role of our eyes? To see. So is that possible that from one eye we can see and from one eye we can smell? No. Why? Because all the cells or all the tissues that are present in our eyes, they are for the same function. So that is why tissues are having same origin and same functions. So whatever the cells that are present in the eyes or whatever tissues that are present in the eyes, all the tissues that are present responsible for the vision, they are present in the eyes. So means the origin. Like I have already told you two things, that tissues are having same origin and second thing is having same function. So if we are taking the example of our eye, so what is the role of the eyes? For vision. So when we will talk about the origin, all the cells that are responsible for the vision, they are present in the eye. So origin part is solved. And when we will talk about the function, again what is the function of the eyes? To see. So it is having the same origin and same function. So this is the common example you can say. So what are tissues? Now I will tell you tissue. It is group of cells having same, two things I have told, same origin, and the second thing is function. So when anyone will ask you what are tissues or you are supposed to define tissues, then how you will define? Group of cells having same origin and functions, means the cells are joined together to form same origin and function. So this was about the tissue part, or it was the overview of what are tissues. Now when we will classify tissues, tissues are of two types. When we will classify it, it is of two types. First one will be your plant tissue and the second one will be your animal tissue. First one will be your plant tissue and the second one will be your animal tissue. Now when I have started the chapter, I have already told you that the organisms I am considering both plant and animals. Why? Because plant and animals both composed of cells, both the bodies are composed of cells, and when we will talk about tissues, they are group of cells. So we will discuss both about plant cells and animal cells. So the first thing we will be studying is plant cells in detail. So let us begin with plant tissues. As I have already told, tissues are of two types, plant tissues and animal tissues. So first we will begin with plant tissues. So first we will begin with plant tissues. Now students, when you will consider this chapter, so many classifications are there or so many subdivisions are there. So in the book also a table is given so that you can see, so that will be easier for you to understand. So this is about plant tissue. So plant tissues are again classified into two types. Plant tissues are again classified into two types. The first one is meristematic tissue and the second one is permanent tissue. So the first one is meristematic tissue and the second one is permanent tissue. I am not mentioning tissues and tissues again, meristematic tissue and the second one is permanent tissue. Now when you will talk about meristematic tissue, or what is the basic difference between meristematic tissue and permanent tissue? So meristematic tissues are having the tendency to continuously divide. Okay, so meristematic tissues are also known as actively dividing cells. So the cells that are present in the meristematic tissues are actively dividing. And when we will talk about the permanent tissues, so when we will talk about permanent tissues, they have attained a particular height or they have attained a particular growth and then they do not divide further. So permanent tissues do not divide further. So they actively divide and they do not divide. So this is student, one thing I want to correct here, that by mistake I have written the dividing spelling wrong, so I have corrected here. So meristematic tissues are the actively dividing cells, and the permanent tissue, they do not divide further. So this is the basic difference between meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Now let us discuss them in detail. So the first one we are going to discuss is meristematic tissue in detail. Now, meristematic tissue. So, as I have already told you that they are having the tendency to divide continuously. So, this was about what are meristematic tissue. Now, we will talk about where they are located. So, when we will talk about the location, so from that time I am telling you that they are dividing, that means they are located at which area? The area from where the growth can take place. So they are present at the apex of the leaves, at the growing region of the plant. Am I clear to you? The meristematic tissue location is at the growing part of the plants, like at the tip of the leaves, at the tip of the root, stem, shoots. So they are present at that particular area. So when we will talk about the location, they are present at the first one, they are present at the tips of the leaves. Then second one we will talk about will be they are present at the roots, and then they are present at the shoots. Now how they are present, like see, suppose this is a plant, this is a leaf. So meristematic tissues are present here. I am just giving an overview. So meristematic tissues are present here. So when meristematic tissues are here, so they will divide. When they will divide, so definitely when they will divide, they will expand in their size. So what happened? After some time, you might have seen that if the plant is of this size, after some time, after some days or after some month, they grow in size. Similarly, if the plant is of this much thickness, after some time you might have seen a baby plant is of a small thickness, after some time you might have seen that the plant thickness has increased. So why they are increasing day by day? Because meristematic tissues are acting there. So they are continuously dividing, they are continuously growing there, and as a result of what? They are increasing the size, or they are attaining the growth of the plant. So this was the role about the meristematic tissue. So for this I want to tell you the example, a common example of human being, though meristematic tissues are present only in plant cells, but only to explain meristematic tissue clearly, let us take an example of a newborn baby. So you have seen so many changes occurs in a newborn baby. They learn to walk, then they grow in size, they attain the height. So they act like a meristematic tissue at that particular age. But what happened? They used to go outside to play, they behave childish activities. So at that particular age they are growing, they are continuously growing. You can see so many changes in a newborn baby. But what happened at our age, we do not show so many changes in our body. Why? Because now we have attained a full growth in our body. So this is the basic difference between meristematic and permanent tissue. Why? Meristematic tissue acts like a small child, they are growing day by day and they are attaining a growth, and after some time when they have attained a growth, they gradually decrease their growth, or the growth is steady, like in our case. So this is the difference between meristematic and permanent tissue. I hope it's clear. Now we will talk about the subdivision of meristematic tissues. Now let us discuss the characteristics, some of the characteristics of meristematic tissue, and then we will come to the subdivision of meristematic tissue. So let us discuss the characteristics one by one. First one, the cells of the meristematic tissues are oval, round or rectangular or cuboidal in shape. So when you will talk about the shape, They are oval, round or cuboidal in shape. Okay, so when we will talk about oval shape, oval, you know, oval is derived from the egg. In higher classes you will understand that oval word is derived from the word egg. So oval means somewhat egg shaped. So the shape or the cells are oval shape, or you can say round, or you can say it is of cuboidal. In maths you might have studied a cuboid, or you can take a common example of the bricks. They are also a cuboid. So they are oval shape, round shape or cuboidal in shape. So this is about the shape of the meristematic tissue. Then when we will talk about the intercellular spaces, so the cells are compactly packed, like see, as I have already told that tissues are the group of cells. So many cells are accumulated here also. So many cells are here. So many cells are here. When so many cells are here, then only a tissue is formed, because tissue is another name of group of cells only. But when we will talk about the intercellular spaces or the spaces between them, so they are compactly packed, like space is very less between the cells. Cells are present inside the tissues. So that's when we will talk about the space is very less in between the cells. So space is very less. And when I am talking about what I am saying, intercellular space is very less. So which word I am using here is intercellular. Please note here I am using intercellular. Whenever word inter is coming in between any word, that means between. Like in your school also, inter-school competition is going on, inter-house competition is going on. What does it mean? That between, like red house and blue house, the competition is conducted, or between all the 4 houses, the competition is conducted. Or when we will talk about inter-school, between schools, the competition is conducted. So the word inter means between. So intercellular means between the cells. So the intercellular spaces are very less, or the spaces between these cells are very less. So they are, in other word you can say, they are compactly packed. So when we will talk about the second characteristics, they are compactly packed. So this is the second characteristics. Now, when we will talk about another characteristics, you might have studied cytoplasm in the cell chapter. So what is cytoplasm? Suppose if we talk about 2 types of cells we have studied, a plant cell and animal cell. So cell is there, nucleus is there, nucleolus is there, and the fluid, so many organelles, other organelles are also there, and a fluid is filled in between the cell. You might have studied, and I think you remember. So that particular fluid is known as cytoplasm. So when we will talk, and it is present in the cell, so the cytoplasm is thick here. So when we will talk about meristematic tissue, dense cytoplasm is present. Okay, so it is another characteristic. Dense cytoplasm. So the presence of dense cytoplasm is seen. So students, in your book characteristics are given, please go through it and read them one by one. So it was about the characteristics. Now I will tell you types of meristematic tissues that are seen in the plants. So when we will characterize them, it is of 3 types. First one will be apical or apical. First one will be apical or apical meristem. Second one will be lateral, and the third one will be intercalary. First one is apical, second one is lateral, and the third one is intercalary. So, when we will talk about the apical or apical, so why it is termed as apical or apical? Because they are present at the apex. Now, what are apex? Means at the tips. So, they are present at the apex of the leaves. So, it is also termed as where they are present at the apex. Then when we will talk about the lateral, they are present at the, they are present between the stems to increase the thickness. So, they are present at the stems or at the barks. And the intercalary, again inter word is used. So, they are present between the nodes of the plant. So, they are present between the nodes. So, when we will talk about apical or apical, what happened? Suppose this is a leaf. They are present at the growing stem, leaf, stem or branches, whatever. So, what happened when you, I am talking about apical only. So, what happens? Suppose the plant is of this much size. After some time you see that the plant has increased in the size. Then after few more months, it has increased in the size. Like you have planted the tree, a baby plant then grows into a full grown tree. So, why? When it leads to the length, increase in the length, that is because of the apical meristem. So, when you have seen the increase in the length in any particular plant, that is because of the presence of apical meristem. Okay? So, this was apical meristem. Then when we will talk about the lateral meristem, suppose this is a plant, a baby plant is there. So, you might have seen the thickness is very small. Okay? After few months or few years, you have seen the thickness has increased, and when a full grown tree is there, a thickness has increased a lot. So, it leads to the increase in the thickness or girth of the plant or of the tree. So, when you see the increase in the thickness of a plant, that is because of the presence of lateral meristem in the plants. So, this was about the lateral meristem. And when you will talk about the intercalary, so intercalary, as I have written, between the nodes. So, in class 6 you might have studied nodes and internodes, but I am telling you once again. Suppose this is a plant, I am drawing a rough diagram, so please do not consider it as my fair diagram. So, suppose this is a plant, okay. From here leaf is grown, and from here suppose a branches are grown, okay. So, the area where the leaf is growing or where from where the branches are growing, they are termed as the nodes, okay. So, this particular area will be your node, this particular area will be your node from where growth is taking place. So, this is your node. Now, where the intercalary are present, they are present in between these two nodes. Now, the space between these two nodes are considered as internodes. So, the intercalary are present in between the nodes or at the internode, because internode is itself the space between these two nodes. Now, what is the role of this intercalary meristem? They leads to the increase in this area. Suppose you have seen when a plant is very small, leaf is also here, so many leaves are at a small distance. But when they grow in size, the leaf, suppose one leaf is growing here, then another branch is growing here, then one leaf is growing at some other place, like a space is created. A space between the leaf or between the branches are created. So, that is because of the presence of intercalary meristem. I hope the difference is clear to you. Apical meristem leads to the long or elongation or increase in the length of the plant. Then lateral meristem leads to the thickness of the plant, and when you will talk about intercalary, then leads to the elongation, like a distance between the leaf or the stems, or increase in the elongation of the plant. So, this was about the meristematic tissue. Okay. So, I hope meristematic tissue is clear to you. Now, we will discuss about the permanent tissue. Meristematic tissues are the actively dividing cells, means they are dividing continuously, and now we will come to our next part, that is permanent tissue. So the next is permanent tissue. So student, as I have already told you that the permanent tissues have attained a full growth and now they do not divide further. So the tissues that have attained a growth and they do not divide further, they are considered as a permanent tissue. And to explain it, I have already given an example of newborn child, children and then a young person. So this was a common example. Please don't write it down in your permanent tissue part, because animal does not show permanent and meristematic tissue. I have just given an overview to explain you. Okay, so that human being example doesn't comes under here. It is only a part of explanation for you. Similarly, the thing which I have explained you at the beginning, like the cell is considered as brick and then brick considered as wall. So I was comparing the cell as the brick and wall as the tissues. So don't write it down in your notebook. That is just a part of your explanation. I hope it's clear to you. Now, this was about the permanent tissue. Now again, permanent tissue is divided into two types. So the first one is simple permanent tissue. First one is simple permanent tissue and the second one is complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Now when you will see students, simple and complex word is given here. So some logic must be there, that is why simple and complex word is given. So why simple word is given here? Because whatever cell or whatever tissues comes under simple permanent tissues, they are simplified in their structure, they are simplified in their function, or in other word we can say all the tissues that comes under simple permanent tissue, they perform the same function. Means somewhat other differences are there in their structure or little bit function, but overall they are having the same function or they are having the simple functions. So that is why they are considered as simple permanent tissue. And when we will talk about the permanent complex permanent tissues, they are not having simple but a complex structure is given. So this is the basic difference between the simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Now as I am telling you again and again that so many subdivisions are given in this chapter. So again when we will pick the simple permanent tissue, again it is divided into three types. So let us discuss about simple permanent tissue. So permanent tissues of two types. So when we will talk about the first one, that is simple permanent tissue. Now it is again divided into three types. So what are those three types? First one is parenchyma, then the second one is sclerenchyma, and the third one is collenchyma. The sequence can be changed, that in your book first parenchyma is given, second collenchyma is given, third sclerenchyma is given. So no need to worry that this is not teaching in the sequential form. I am just telling the types. So simple permanent tissues are of three types. First one is parenchyma, second one is sclerenchyma, and the third one is collenchyma. So they all comes under simple permanent tissue. So if you want, you can write down completely that parenchyma simple permanent tissue, then sclerenchyma simple permanent tissue, and collenchyma simple permanent tissue. Like I am writing the short form SPT simple permanent tissue that you can add. It is not compulsory. If you will write down parenchyma, it is self understood that it comes under simple permanent tissue only. Okay, it is just for your explanation part, or it is for your convenience. I have told that if you want you can write it down, otherwise this much will be fine. Then we will discuss about the types of the complex permanent tissue. So this was the types of parenchyma, simple permanent tissue. We will discuss all three in detail also, but first let me tell you about the complex permanent tissue also. So the second one, first one is simple, and the second tissue that comes here will be your complex permanent tissue. Now, what comes under complex permanent tissue? It is classified into two types. First one will be your xylem, and the second one will be your phloem. First one will be your xylem and second one will be your phloem. So this was about the permanent tissue, then second part complex permanent tissue, that is xylem and phloem. Now we will discuss them in detail. So students, complex permanent tissue I have explained. Now before we will discuss this parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma or xylem and phloem in detail, first let us overview or let us recap whatever we have studied till now. So first we have studied about the tissues. So tissues are the group of the cells that are having the same origin and same function. Then we will classify the tissues. They are of two types. First one will be your plant tissue and the second one will be your animal tissue. So today we have only discussed about the plant tissue. So let us categorize it also. So when you will talk about the plant tissue, it is again divided into two types. First one is meristematic tissue and the second one is permanent tissue. Second one is permanent tissue. I am not writing tissue again and again. So plant tissue, meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Then when we will talk about meristematic tissue, it is of three types: apical, lateral, intercalary. When you will talk about permanent, again it is classified into two: simple and the second one is complex. It is of three types: parenchyma, sclerenchyma and collenchyma. And when we will talk about the complex, it is of two types. First one is xylem and the second one is phloem. So this is the complete flow chart what we have studied till now. Then we will discuss these things in detail. I hope it's clear to you. Thank you.